It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Yesterday, a dealer reached out to me and said, Ray, really, what's the future of the dealers for the Imaging Channel? I mean, what's the real value going forward that a dealer can offer that SMB space, that enterprise space? And here's what I told that gentleman. There is a great future, but the future is not about the Imaging Channel. The future is not about IT services. The future is not about telephony services. The future is not about selling office products. The future for SMB to SMB is what I describe as infrastructure management or vendor management. Those dealer organizations that can go into their clients and manage their entire infrastructure are going to be the winners. And when I say manage their entire infrastructure, that doesn't mean they have to touch and do everything they manage. That's where vendor management comes in. IT service providers have been doing vendor management for over a decade. They understand how to manage vendors. And you're going to see more and more of them managing more and more components of a small business's infrastructure, of an enterprise's infrastructure. Print services, managed print services, whatever the hell you want to call it, is a component of the infrastructure for an organization. And those dealers that have the ability to go into those organizations and help those customers understand their infrastructure. You notice I didn't talk about document management. I keep hearing this thing about document management's the next big thing because everybody's kind of concerned about managed print services. They're concerned about managed print services because managed print services is a declining number. And somehow they see document management as some lifesaver. It's not about the document. It's not even about the information on the document. It's not about the printer. It's not about the toner cartridge. It's not about the pens and pencils. It's not about the telephony. It's about all of those things in the infrastructure of your client. And who can best manage those things? Some of those things might be managed by going through an Amazon. Some of those things might be managed by going through a Tech Data. Some of those things might be managed by going through the dealer themselves. But if the dealer or that technology reseller can control all of the contracts, all of the service agreements, for everything that customer needs to manage that customer's infrastructure, guess what? That dealer wins. We need to be more consultative than ever. We're hearing on the news where, the small business community is going to have to remodel all their restrooms. They're going to put all kinds of technologies in restrooms, technologies in break rooms, technologies in warehouses, AI all over the place. We're going to see more things connected than ever before in history. More products and services that need to be managed at a secure level. There'll be opportunities for education. Is the dealer going to manage the education or do the education themselves? It won't matter if they control the management of the infrastructure. Dealers have to open their minds. It's not about products. I saw where a manufacturer yesterday or the day before was talking about how they're into the thermal, thermometers for commercial real estate. That's fantastic, but that's a product. And sooner or later, if you just focus on the thermostat thing, it'll be a commodity because every single office in the world is going to have a thermometer system. And it's going to say 98.6 or 102. It might take that information and dump it into some kind of depository, but when it does that, you better understand HIPAA. So we need to understand it's not about the products or specific solutions. It's about the entire infrastructure. Whoever can understand how to navigate with a customer through the digitalization process with their entire infrastructure will come out winning. Because there's going to be a lot of confusion. And when I look at some of these IT companies, some of these bigger dealerships like my friends at Marco, they're kind of in a good position for these things. But folks, I got to tell you, it's not too late. It's not too late to get into this space. But you got to change your human capital component. Our industry, like every other industry, has had some massive layoffs. It was just, there's no way around it. And it's not about saying you should have kept people or shouldn't have kept people. When revenues drop 70%, you got to make some logical decisions. But this is the time to reevaluate as we bring human capital back in. I got to ask every one of my friends, actually, in all reseller channels, when you were at home for the last 2.5 months, did you zoom in with any other webinar other than your comfort zone, other than your core deliverable? Did you attend a CPA webinar? Did you attend a webinar for restaurant owners? I did. Learned a lot of things from those webinars. My friends, it's time for us to really get out of our box. And we got to start interviewing people from verticals. We got to start talking to people that understand robotics and technology, that understand the education component of security, that understand IT security services as its own deliverable, that understands compute, that understands all these things so that we can vendor manage them. So we have the ability to surround ourselves with the right component players. You see where it's going? You see where it's going? Who's going to be our print manufacturer that we're going to represent, that we're going to talk good for, that we're going to help solve some of our clients' problems in their infrastructure? Who's going to provide our aftermarket toner? Who's going to provide the compute products? Who are we going to use for our SOC services? Who are we going to use for our NOC services? Are we going to do these things ourselves, or are we going to vendor manage them? Because to me, business to business, the way we did it prior to this virus is not sustainable going post-virus. Everybody has to know that. And sometimes what I think I see is people think they're going to come out of this and just paint a fresh coat of paint on an old deliverable. Folks, it's more than paint. It's knocking down the building of the old deliverable and building a new infrastructure. An infrastructure that will allow you to manage your clients' infrastructure. I'm going to end this the way I always do. Status quo is the killer of all that will be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.